President Trump returned to Washington after hailing the dawn of a new Middle East yesterday, with Israel and Hamas taking a significant step toward ending 2 years of war in Gaza.
President Trump has campaigned for the Nobel Peace Prize, but he was passed over this year. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado received the prize for what the committee said was promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela. Trump called Machado today and congratulated her, saying she deserved the award. This after his administration denounced the very decision to award it to her in the first place.
It's obviously disappointing that the Nobel Prize Committee didn't select President Trump. Not surprising.
At this point, the Nobel Peace Prize does not deserve Donald J. Trump. I mean, it's shocking and it's in your face. I mean, this guy has done more for world peace in 9 months than any president in the history of the United States, period.
Well, he should get it. It should be in the Roosevelt room right next to the one that Teddy Roosevelt got for solving the Sino-Japanese War. If they don't, the Nobel Committee will be discredited forever, but it should go to President Trump.
Donald Trump is the most politically powerful president of my lifetime. And yet he plays the victim. It's just not a good look. I wish he would just sort of grow into the role a little bit. And I'm tell you, I'm not a Democrat who roots for Donald Trump's failure. I root for him to be fair, right? And I think what's killing him on the Nobel Prize in the end is going to be, on one hand, you're going to have things like what's happening in the Middle East. On the other hand, you've got troops on the streets, you've got pastors being pepper sprayed by ICE agents. You've got all this disarray happening at home. And it's so hard for people who want to root for American success to root for Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is doing both of these things at the same time.
I agree with everything you just said. It is hard for Democrats to root for America's success because they're so broken by Donald Trump.
What's up, everybody? Major retired Richard Ojeda here. And imagine a world where journalistic integrity gets tossed right out the window and gets replaced by conspiracy-driven, opinion-soaked bullcrap pretending to be real news.
This is the core problem of the Democratic Party. You cannot bring yourself to root for America because Donald Trump is the president.
That's not fair, Scott. That's not what I said. I said precisely the opposite
He deserves the Nobel Prize. He deserved it before this deal. He deserves it now. He deserved it for hitting Iran.
In this world, these talking hemorrhoids don't report the news. They act. They whine, they cry, they bellyache, bitch, and moan about their favorite politician not getting the praise and accolades he thinks that he deserves. It's MAGA journalism, and right and wrong is based on who's the loudest and most annoying player in the room, not who's telling the truth. Welcome to Scott Jennings, America.
If they don't give it to him next year, it will be a travesty. I would note that the lady who got it this year, who, by the way, deserves it, she dedicated her award to Donald Trump and was thanking Donald Trump and the American people for their support in getting rid of the Venezuelan regime. And so I hope he does get it, because at the end of the day, it will piss off all the right people. And I actually
I'll be so happy. Though.
As we woke up Monday morning, we learned the news that the hostages who had been held by Hamas were released. This conflict has dragged on for years, and a lot of people had already given up hope that any kind of deal would ever come through, much less a full release. There were emotional reunions, families hugging, tears, people running to meet loved ones they thought that they would never see again. It was a rare moment of humanity breaking through all of the absolute chaos. But not everyone got a happy ending. One man who'd been released from prison came home only to find that his wife and children had been killed in an airstrike. He was completely overcome with grief. Could you even imagine? But while families are still picking up the pieces and the world is trying to hold on to some small hope for peace, Donald Trump and his MAGA followers are busy throwing themselves a victory parade, but without the trophy they had set their sights on. You see, MAGA lives under this unrealistic expectation that they have to win every single time. That if you're not praising their dear leader 24/7, you're somehow un-American or disloyal. And when they don't get their way, well, they lash out. Meanwhile, Trump's over here bragging about peace while he's literally invading his own cities, turning the military on American citizens, shooting priests, pepper spraying frog mascots, detaining reporters, macing police officers, and disappearing people. You can't demand the world call you a peacemaker when you're waging war on your own citizens. And this is the part that MAGA loyalists like Scott Jennings just don't get. Jennings, a self-appointed patriot who spent so much time shining Trump's boots, he's licked all the leather clean off the toes. This guy sits on CNN pretending to be the voice of reason while regurgitating every single Trump talking point like it's a tasty morsel. He's not breaking down the news. He's over here selling Trump's nonsense to the MAGA wing of the CNN audience, trying to pass it off as commentary. But let's be honest, Jennings isn't a commentator. He's a paid mouthpiece, a walking press release with a pulse. You want to talk about integrity? This guy's got the moral backbone of a wet noodle. He's been fact-checked live on air for repeating Donald Trump's lies, dodges every question about racism, and then turns around to lecture Democrats about rooting for America. Please. The only thing Scott Jennings roots for is a pat on the head from Donald Trump. When Jennings spews is emotional diarrhea wrapped in a necktie. This clown actually said Democrats can't be happy because Trump's the president. No, genius, we're not happy because Donald Trump turned America into an absolute freak show. This guy is a ventriloquist dummy for Trump. He sits there pretending to be some balanced voice while his head shoved so far up Donald Trump's ass you can see his eyes blink when Trump opens his mouth. Hell, if the Donnie boy sneezes, Jennings will say, "Bless you," from the inside. He talks about patriotism while licking the boots of a man who's trying to overthrow his own country. He calls people un-American because they don't worship a wannabe dictator who's maced priests, arrests reporters, and turn troops on civilians. What a joke. Jennings has the integrity of a used car warranty and the personality of a wet sock. Let me tell you something. Nobody in history has cried more about not getting a Nobel Peace Prize than Donald damn Trump. This guy's obsessed. He's out here begging for trophies like a spoiled kid who didn't get a ribbon on field day. And the nerve of it. How do you stand there and demand a peace prize while your masked Gestapo is kidnapping parents outside of schools? You don't deserve a peace prize. Yeah, you deserve a pair of handcuffs and a date with an absolute judge. You're out here talking about peace while turning the military against your own people. That's not peace. That's fascism. And mark my words, the cracks are showing. The Republicans know the Epstein files are about to surface, and they're terrified. They know who Trump's been hanging around with. They know the pictures exist. That's why they're suddenly pretending to distance themselves, because when those files hit the daylight, half of them are going down with Donald Trump. Trump's not a peacemaker. He's a predator, a felon, a fraud. And the fact that these MAGA morons still think he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize just proves one thing. They don't want peace. They want to punish everyone who doesn't look like them. And in Scott Jennings' situation, that's a pathetic bootlicking worm that has sold out to a wannabe dictator. Because that's what this is really about, folks. Power, control. They don't want peace. They want obedience. They want you too scared to question them, too distracted to notice the corruption staring you right in the face. Scott Jennings, Trump, every last MAGA sycophant out there, they don't serve the people. They serve the wealthy. They're not patriots. They're parasites feeding off America's ignorance. Yeah, and the rest of us, well, we're the ones cleaning up their damn mess. So no. He doesn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. He deserves to be remembered as the man who tried to burn democracy to the ground while his cheerleaders stood there applauding the flames. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.